Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Listen and Grow podcast, your unapologetic LGBTQ plus news roundup, where we celebrate the wins, call out the nonsense, and we hold space for the stories that actually matter. I'm your host, Zach Randles-Friedman, and this week, it's a lot. We've got a dream team lined up for the 2026 GLAAD Media Awards. Tiffany, the head bitch in charge Pollard, is reminding us that gender can be expansive and fabulous. We have major protests erupting over proposed federal restrictions on gender-affirming care, and a lot happening at the state level and so much more. So let's get right into it and start off with a positive, good story. GLAAD announces a dream team. GLAAD has announced this year's ultimate dream team. Quinta, Brunson, Bowen, and Matt Rogers will be honored at the 2026 GLAAD Media Awards. And honestly, that is a big lineup. You've got Quinta Brunson, sitcom powerhouse and cultural force, Bowen, an SNL icon who continues to bring queer visibility to mainstream comedy, and Matt Rogers, who's a podcast legend and pop culture commentator who's helped redefine queer media spaces. The GLAAD Media Awards have always been about recognizing representation that moves culture forward, and this trio embodies that shift. They're not niche queer entertainers, they are mainstream, and that matters. Representation is no longer asking for a seat at the table, it's building the table. Next, Tiffany Pollard. They're a non-binary head bitch in charge, and they're showing that energy. If there's one person who can discuss gender identity and still make it meme-worthy cause, it's Tiffany Pollard. This undisrupted queen of reality television sat down with Ziwe on YouTube and delivered what she only could deliver. When asked to state her race, gender, and pronouns, she said, "My race, I'm good, Southern charm, chocolate brown, dark skin. And then on top of that, my gender would be non-binary, meaning that I'm very flexible and have feminine and masculine energy. And as for pronouns, him, her, she and who, and they and we will, and that bitch, I mean only Tiffany." Pollard first came out as queer in 2023 during a TikTok for Out TV, later telling Pink News that she resonates with non-binary identity. And when asked what the non-binary equivalent of HBIC might be, "I don't think it exists, and honestly, maybe it doesn't. Some titles are universal. But beyond humor, what stands out is how conversations around gender are expanding, even in pop culture spaces that historically didn't hold nuisance. And sometimes visibility comes wrapped in glitter and chaos, and it still counts." Here's another positive story. Can you believe all these positive stories I have today? Lyft responds to Kansas anti-trans law. So let's go back to Kansas, where Lyft has announced it is offering 50% off rides up to $10 when you use the code TRANSJOY after Senate Bill 244 took effect. The law requires Kansas drivers licensed to list gender markers consistent with sex assigned at birth, effectively invalidating licenses that don't align. It also bans trans people from using public building bathrooms and that match their gender identity. This offer runs through March 9th. Reactions have been mixed. Some praise the move, this is the way, and others pointed out it feels temporary, a week of support during crisis rather than a sustained advocacy. And that tension is real. Corporate responses to anti-LGBTQ plus laws often land somewhere in between solidarity and marketing. Is it helpful? Yes. Is it enough? Well, that's a bigger conversation. I personally think it's amazing that the first week that they are giving this to trans people to try to figure things out. A week of 50% off rides up to $10 is better than nothing because I don't see anybody else stepping up. So good for you, Lyft. Next, 25 arrested at HHS protest. There were 25 people that are arrested during a protest outside the Department of Health and Human Services in D.C. The gender liberation movement, backed by ACT UP New York and ACT UP Pittsburgh, blockade the entrance in opposition to proposed federal rules targeting gender-affirming care for trans youth. The proposed rules, announced in December, would bar hospitals from receiving Medicare and Medicaid funding from providing gender-affirming care to minors. If implemented, the restrictions would effectively eliminate access nationwide. Chants included HHS, RFK, trans youth are no debate. Also, no hate, no fear, trans youth are welcome here. We've seen this before in LGBTQ plus history. ACT UP was instrumental during the AIDS crisis. Direct action has always been part of queer resistance. And here we are again, fighting for healthcare access. So here's another good story. I got to point them out because they're not that often, but Connor Storrie's SNL moment. So let's talk about that. Connor Storrie hosted SNL this past Saturday, and he totally understood the assignment. The heated rivalry king opened the show by bringing out U.S. women's hockey Olympians Megan Keller and Hillary Knight, alongside with Quinn and Jack Hughes. Knight joked that the original plan was going to be just us, but we thought we'd invite the guys too. The shade, the perfection, queer-coded sports humor on national TV, and I love seeing it. And from what I have read, the two men, Quinn and Jack Hughes, are big supporters of the LGBTQ plus community. So love that. I love it that the hockey team for the women declined going to see the Orange convicted felons State of the Union. And they want nothing to do with that whole thing. So amazing. Next, legal crackdowns intensified. There's some legal crackdowns that are intensifying. Let's just go through a couple of them. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton declared that mental health providers affirming trans youth are committing child abuse. Also, U.S. Rugby announced a ban on trans women competing in women's divisions. We also have Vanderbilt University Medical Center will stop providing gender-affirming surgeries for trans adults. The Supreme Court has blocked California policies designed to protect trans students' privacies, ruling parents seeking religious exemptions are likely to succeed under free exercise claims. And then internationally, Malaysia is banning Grindr and Blued. The global picture, mixed progress, escalating backlash. So lots of legal things happening. But we have a historic win in India. Yet another positive story. It's a milestone that's worth celebrating. Senior advocate Menaka Guruswamy, who helped lead the successful challenge to India's Section 337, is set to become India's first openly LGBTQ plus member of parliament. After nomination to the Rajya Sabha, Section 337 criminalized homosexuality until it was struck down in 2018. To go from criminalization to potential queer parliamentary representation in under a decade, that is so historic. Representation changes policy, and policies are changing life. So good for you, India, for stepping up. Then we have Joe Locke from Heartstoppers. He won an Emmy. Next, we have Joe Locke wins an Emmy. The Heartstopper star Joe Locke is officially an Emmy winner. He took home Outstanding Lead Performer in Preschool Children's or Young Teen Program for playing Charlie Spring. Queer teen stories, award-winning, mainstream. That is really growth for our community. Next, Pascal Krazier, Joy and Resilience. We're going to close this podcast with Pascal Krazier. After enduring homophobic attacks following his proposal to his boyfriend, the bisexual football referee shared two Instagram posts. The first one is, "This is what happiness feels like, unfiltered, uncomplicated, pure. No one can take that moment away from me." And then later he posted, "Some people stay, some paths change, and sometimes you have to learn to be strong on your own, even when you hoped you never would. That's not defeat, that's reckoning. Visibility has a cost, but so does silence. And for the LGBTQ plus athletes watching from the sidelines, his presence still matters. Joy and resilience can coexist, and both can be true." I feel so bad for Pascal after he had this amazing proposal in front of a whole stadium of people and left so happy and then got attacked twice afterwards. But it sounds like he's bouncing back and he is staying resilient. So that's today's news that gives us celebration, protest, backlash, and breakthroughs. We had queer joy and red carpets, non-binary chaos energy on YouTube, arrest outside federal buildings, historic nominations in India, policy setbacks, of course, in the United States, and quiet resilience under stadium lights. That's the LGBTQ stories right now. Complicated, ongoing, and unfinished. Thanks for listening to the Listen Up Girl podcast. If you value this kind of coverage, please share this episode. Also, leave a comment and a review of my podcast, and please keep showing up because visibility matters. Again, I'm Randles-Friedman, and I will see you tomorrow with more LGBTQ plus news. Thanks for